So to form this blown fibre install, you're going to need everything that you see on the screen. You're going to need the port kit itself, a shrink down, a scop and foil to protect the cable from the heat. You also have a heat protector here to protect any other cables or ports that might be in the joint. You need a screwdriver to flatten down your foil. You need sandpaper to abrade the kit and the tube. You need your 3mm transport tube, a 5 to 3mm water block connector, gloves to protect your hands from the heat, measuring tape, an igniter to light the flame, and your gas. And make sure that this end has a D-shaped nozzle. So the first part of this installation is removing a port blank. To do this, squeeze the two tabs together and pull from underneath. You may need to rotate the blank in the port just to get better access to these two tabs. The next step is to insert your port kit. Just go from underneath, push and twist until you hear a click, and that means it's now locked in position. What we then have to do is abrade it. What abrading does is it provides better grip for the shrink down to grip onto. So rub just like this. Now what we do is we partially shrink our shrink down over it. What this will do is it will hold it in position, and while we prep our cable it will give it enough time to cool down. So if we put our correct gloves on, turn our gas on, ignite it, slide our heat shrink over and shrink. Now we'll leave that to cool off. So now we need to prep our cable. So the first step is to abrade the cable, just like we did on the port kit. Abrading the cable will allow better grip for the scot when we wrap it around both cables. There you go. And the next step is to wrap the stop around it. Going to wrap it all the way up to the base of the cable, and remember to wrap it so the lines are horizontal instead of vertical. Next, we need to put our foil on, and this needs to be fitted 30mm from the bottom of our scot. Now we're going to flatten this foil using our screwdriver. Once that's done, that's ready to be inserted. But before we do that, we need to measure 70mm from the bottom of this cable here along the tube, and then we're going to insert that up to that marked point, and then the tubes will be in the correct length inside the joint. And now we're going to shrink the rest of the shrink down onto our cable. So we need to put the cable in first so that we're not fiddling around with it while our flame's on. Turn our gas on. Ignite it, and remember to hold the cable in position until the shrink is shrunk onto the cable, and shrink away. And now we'll allow that to cool. At this point, you'll then blow in the necessary fibre. You'll then feed over the water block connector, place onto the necessary tube. Then you'll feed over your 3mm transport tube and feed it to your necessary retaining tab. Now before we resin it, we need to make sure that our spare tubes are covered with end caps, and when we fill up the port full of resin, we have to make sure that the resin doesn't go over the 2 clips in the bottom of the base. This is because if resin reaches this level, it will spill over into the port itself and actually fill it all the way up, and if it's in one of these ports that have adjacent ports, it can spill over into them and make it impossible to remove the port blanks. So keeping it below this point will supply enough resin to protect it from any kind of gas, and we'll still be able to remove the port if necessary. So now I'll show you how to resin it.
And that's how to install a heat shrink port kit.